Second. All right, everyone. So this is the tutorial for Illustrator for ARC 100. So before that, I'm just going to quickly show you guys how to make 2D in case some people don't know. So essentially, you just go to perspective, you go to set view, isometric, whatever view you want, and then you select, you make 2D, and then you have to make sure the view is parallel. It's group all these settings. You don't want hidden lines because it's going to be annoying essentially. So just click OK. And then once you're done, you just select, well, you can just select this like this way. Then you just do export selected. And then when you do it here, you just name it, I don't know, make 2D. Make sure when you change the file type, it's Adobe Illustrator. This is important later on. So you click save, and when you want the scale, I think you guys are working with 1 to 100. So what I like to do is, use this website scale converter just to make sure everything is correct. So 1 to 100 means 1 meter to 10 millimeters. So that's what we're going to do. And order layers, everything RGB, press OK. And then when you go to your file, you right click. Well, actually, you don't need to. So you just open it. And then you have it here. So this is the basic way of doing Make 2D from converting it to a flat drawing for Illustrator to work on. But right now we're just going to work on the basic stuff for basic things that are expected for you when you're presenting your work. So most likely when you convert, everything is going to be one line type unless you manually changed it on Rhino. And a key important thing is to already dictate the type of line weights you want to work with. Because if everything is the same, like for example, this just looks like 3 triangles. It doesn't look like it has depth. So one of the things we want to do is play with the line weights. So I'm just going to put this here. So when you play with the line weights, you have to make sure you have these key ones. Obviously, you can manually change it to, I don't know, 0.3, whatever. But for example, here, this is the area where you can change the line weights. So we have 2, 1, 0.75, 0.5, 0.25. This is going to be really small, so be careful with this because sometimes if you plot, obviously you're not plotting this here, it can be hard to see. So I think the max I would recommend is 2 points. And then so these are some of the things that we have to play with. So I would say the ones in the back have like a reference. The ones in the front, the maximum should be 1. And then the ones in the back, you can kind of dictate. So select it, use this eyedropper tool, and then do it. Or if you don't have like a reference, you can click and then you can just, go down and all that. And then you essentially just want to play with these. So these are a bit further. So you want to go 0.5. This is a bit down. So you want to do 0.25. Like these are just the things that you have to do just to make it look like it has depth to it. So now you can see that this looks like it's further down. Same thing here. So we dictate that this area is further, this area is closer. So we'll keep it at 1 here. And then this will be 0.25, for example. Obviously, you can change it. You can, if you have more objects in between, you don't want 0.5 here. So you can change it to 0.3. Obviously, these are really basic things. So this, because it's in between, you can do 0.5. This is a bit closer, so 0.75. All these different things, and same thing here. So the more you do it, the more it's, I guess, realistic in a way. And then I think here, we don't want that. We want it to be this. So again, we do this 5, and it gives it more depth in general, especially here. So we want to give this illusion of an isometric cube. So 0.25, 0.25 here again. And then for the top part, we'll do, I think, 0.75. bottom one 0.25, and then these ones will be the in-between, so 0.5. So these are the things that you have to be aware of. So I think some of your instructors might have suggested a thick outline, and I would highly recommend that. So I think in order to do that, lock all of your layers, mask select the outline that you've already created before. You can either trace it, like with the pen tool, just trace at each click to have it, or you can use the Pathfinder, which I can show later. So you collect all of these, and you change the stroke. Now, I would say 2 maximum, because if it's like, okay, let me show you. If it's this thick, it just looks too cartoony. So in my opinion, keep it at 2 max, unless it's a style you're going for. But I think for this assignment, keep it minimalistic. So these are some of the things that you have to explore with. Now this is thick outline with the different thicknesses inside. So again, you select these. Now obviously make sure that only the outline is unlocked here in the layer section. Make them 2, unlock, and then lock the outline, and then same thing here. So 0.25, and then for example like this, and then we just kind of work with that. So let me see, so this can be 0.5. Again, this part can be 0.25, and then these parts could be 0.5. So, but the thing is, most likely, because you guys have a room, if you're not showing the insides, so you just want to show the exterior, you don't want, these lines. You don't want them. So we just have to delete them, because it's unnecessary. It just gives unnecessary information that you don't want if it's not your focus. So we just delete them, and we have this cubic thing. But if you do want to show them, it's important to create them dashed, just so it's, because universally dash means that it's an invisible line. So in order to make this, I'll just make it undash. You have this stroke layer on the right. If you can't find it, always go to Windows, and then you will have it here. So this window has all the types of tools that you can use. You just click stroke here. It might be different for Apple, but it shouldn't be that different. So when this comes, you have 3 things. So let's say it's undashed. You select both, you select dashed, and sometimes this is the setting that has. And when this setting has, the corner is a bit awkward. So let's see how it changes. See, it ends here. It's much more better. So this is an example where this has this setting where the corners aren't like existing, and then this one, it's this setting. So this is much more professional, especially for enclosed shapes, just because the gap is more consistent. And if you want to change the gap, you can always change it here. So let's do 10, it becomes bigger. If we do 1, it becomes smaller. Don't do 1, I would say. Just do it by eye, see how it works. Sometimes this is better, sometimes this is better. And we have arrows as well. So if you want arrows, instead of manually making the arrow tip, you just go here, arrowhead. We have a lot of different arrows, but I would say stick to the most basic, simple one. You don't want it to be too distracting or grabbing the attention. It's just a simple way of guiding the eye. And if you don't like the direction, you want to go opposite, you just switch. Yeah, you just switch. So essentially this. You can always change the scale of the arrow. Obviously, you can make it 300. Don't do that. And you can always unchain it. So you can, this is a scaled version. Obviously, if I do 50, it's a bit weird. So this is what you have to do if you want to hide but show your hidden lines. Some of the don'ts, as I mentioned before, don't do thick outline, because it's just gonna look like, Fair Odd Parents style, cartoony. Again, inconsistent line weights. So If something is in the back, it shouldn't have the same thickness as the one at the front. These are just basic things. Just be consistent. I would say stick to 3 to 5 line weights. For this assignment, I don't think you need to. This is some of the differences I wanted to show. So sometimes you will see where if you have a line with a really, really harsh corner angle, it creates this really, really sharp, lengthy corner, and we don't want that. In order to change that, again, you go to strokes. This corner is this, but if you change it to this in the middle, it becomes curved. It's less emphasized. And this is the angle version, the bevel. I would say stick to either of these just in case. And then again here, these are all the same circles, same size, but the line weights make it different. So this one, for example, the thickness, it's in the middle, so it spreads from both sides. This one, the thickness goes inside, so the bigger the thickness, the smaller the circle becomes. We don't want that. This one again, it's outside, so the bigger they go, it grows, and it kind of explodes. So I would say stick with this one, just because when you have drawings that have objects inside, if you have this or this, it's just going to cover it. So for example, let me show you here. So this one, if for example it's this, the thicker it is, the more information you're going to lose, and we don't want that. So I would say, yeah, stick with, yeah. And then here, so this is the important thing about sections and elevations. This is the point where you want to show your information clearly, right? And sometimes, I mean, when I was in first year, I manually made the hatches. You don't need to do that. Just go to swatches, make sure you're on the fill layer, and essentially you click this library, you go to patterns, you go to basic graphics, and you have all these resources. So patterns, graphics, dots. We don't use dots, but we have the lines. Obviously we can do these. You can have different thicknesses. As you can see, we have a lot of varieties, right? I would say depending on the direction of your shape, everything is going to be consistent. Don't change the hatch angles based on the square. So for example, this is at 45 degrees, this is at 90 degrees. Leave the hatches the same way, just so it's consistent and the hatch angles doesn't change all the time, because it's just going to look unprofessional. But sometimes you don't like any of these hatches, you don't like any of these patterns, none of them. And although we have a lot of variety, sometimes you just want to make it yourself, right? And when you want to make it yourself, it's really, really easy. Basically, let's say I make this shape. Let's change it to green. And then let's see, obviously don't do this for a hatch. It's going to be really, really, really confusing and conflicting. But this is just your way of experimenting. So you can select it, go to object, pattern, make. And then when you do it, you have a pattern setting. So when you zoom out, you'll see all of the settings that it has. We'll name it green funk. You can change the width of the canvas of the pattern. So you can make it 2, and then it'll just expand it. You can make this 5. Actually, no, let's do 4. And then it just changes the density of the pattern. So let's just stick with 1. And then click done. And then when you go to your swatches here, it exists here. So let's click this. Make sure you're on fill, and then you click this. And then this is it. So let's say you want one of these lines, right? Let's say you want this. 1 second. Let's say you want this, but it's too thick, and you just want to change this without creating a whole new pattern. Either you double click or you click edit pattern. Let's do this. And then you select all the patterns within that canvas, and then you just change the thickness. So this is 2.8. We wanted 0.25. You can move it around and everything. And then, but you don't want this to replace it. So you just click Save Copy, and then you say New Pattern Fixed. And when you do that, essentially, we click Done, and now you have a new pattern. So these are all different things. I would say stick to basic hatches just because these are very, very crowded things for the drawings. And I think this is pretty much it. I don't know why it went so short, but honestly, this is going to be a time for you guys to ask any questions that you have, and then I can directly help you with it, and I can even give you permission to share your screen so we can help you. Any questions? Any questions particular to your
There's
assignment that you
one
want to
from
ask?
the chat.
Oh, that. Oh, sorry. I didn't check the chat. My bad. I need to draw plants and I'm not sure how I should do that. Okay, right. So essentially, I would say you can do one of these things. Either you go to the website dimensions.com. Oh, wait. I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry. So you go to dimensions.com, you click, and then, sorry, let it load. And then you have all these flat resources. So if you search plant, 1 second. So these plants show up. If you want them to be flat, that's obviously one way to do it. If you want it, you can download it. So you can download it in two ways. You can either download it as a DWG file, or it'll let you, sorry, I don't know why it's being weird. 1 second. So it'll let you download as DWG or PNG, and either or works fine. I'm just trying to find a way to show you. So yeah, so either JPEG, you click on it, you save image as, then you download, you put it in your file. So here, you put save, and then you go to your file again, you click open, and then oops, sorry. You go to open, and then you go to the plan. And then so you have this. Obviously, make sure to, wait, let me just check the layer. So yeah, this is an image essentially. So I would say go back here if you can, drag it down and then here. And then maybe you don't want all of these plants. So go to crop, just choose the one that you want, obviously. So let's say you want this middle one, you click apply, and there are multiple ways of doing it. Either you know, you do a silhouette, which kind of makes this weird thing. And then you can expand and group, and then it'll work. And then you can just put it in the thing. But the bad thing about that is the fact that these are not line weights. These are actually pathways. So you can check and change the thickness. So another advice I would give is to download it as a DWG file. So we go metric, and it downloads. Then we go back to Illustrator, we go to open, we go to our download section, and then we open it. And then we'll just say, okay, I don't think this is really important. Unless you want to scale it, then definitely do that. But for the sake of it, we're not. And then here we have the actual line weight. So I would say isolate the other layers because you don't really need them. And then I'm just gonna close this. Then you just drag it to here, if you need it on your file. And then this is basically it. Obviously, you can change the line width as you need. The layer comes, if you want the object to come with the layer, you have to click this and say paste remembers layers. Because if you don't do that, it'll just go to the closest open layer, and you don't want that because it's going to be a mix-up. So now you just customize whatever you want to do. So either, you know, make it black, change the stroke line, however you want. I would say, and so let's say you want to fill it out, right? But none of these lines are connected and you don't have the time to click, select them, right click and do join and everything. So an idea would be to select everything. And then here with this thing, like shape builder, click live paint bucket. When you do that, it's kind of like the paint software back in the day in Windows XP, where it just chooses enclosed spaces. So let's do this. Let's choose like a brown for the pot. And then see, this is the enclosed space. And let's do green for the plant itself. So then we start doing all of these different things where just fill everything up. Let's do that. So yeah, now you have a plant and then you can just unclick. But the thing is that when you click it now, everything is selected and it's not really a path. So you just go up, you do expand, then you right click, you ungroup, right click again, ungroup again. So now all of these, wait, actually no, ungroup again too. So now all of these are individual ones. I would say go back to your layer and then click all the lines. So select one of the lines. At the top, you should have like a mass select tool. So select similar objects. And I say all. Actually, let's not do all because it might affect. So lock everything here so you don't delete anything accidentally. Select this and then delete the lines. So now you can select these again, give them a thickness line again. So you go back here, you change the color to black, and now you have plants again. So obviously don't do this color scheme because it looks really childish, but this is an example of having plants in your thing. So let me see if you have any other questions. Feel free to unmute as well. Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Thank you for that. But also, like, how would I draw plants from an ISO view that's like looking?
I would say, okay, I do sometimes if I actually do need like a 3D plant, I just usually type, 3D plant Rhino, and you get some of those sources. I personally, I like to make them on Illustrator, but obviously there are all these different sources. Well, some of them you have to pay, but obviously this one you don't need to. So I would say maybe personally when I do it, it's always really heavy on my file. But like, for example, like if I download this, let me just download this file. So let's do this and then I'll show you how it is. So download.
Oh, sorry, I don't think you're sharing your screen.
Oh, sorry. My bad. Okay. So essentially you go back to this website. I searched, 3D plant and then this showed up. I download it and then here it gives me a zip. So I click open, whatever. It's not letting me. Close. And then you just, actually wait. Let's say extract to, and then we'll just extract it to a new folder. No, let's just do download. And then press OK. And it should work. Yeah, so now we have the tree and it's empty. I don't know why. 1 second. I'm trying to, sorry guys. um, Let's see if this works. Yeah. So, okay, now I think you can just open it with Rhino, not Photoshop. Oops. Yeah, so now it has given you some textures for you to apply. So do open with, then Rhino, and it'll just take a minute for it to open up. Okay, should open soon. Yeah, oh, okay, never mind. So this shows up. Just click OK, I think it should be fine. And then you'll probably get your object of the tree. I think the best option right now is to slowly collect all the resources for trees and plantations, the things that you want to save. Um, my Rhino has stopped, so we'll have to give it a minute. But until then, I think maybe I can answer some other questions. But it doesn't work. Okay, wait, it works. 1 second. Let me share my screen again. So yeah, so as you can see, this is the tree. Make sure that you're in shaded, and then this is the tree. But I would say if something's as this complicated that you want to make 2D, it will take a lot of time. It will take a lot of time, obviously, but I mean, if it's worth it for you, definitely do that. You can do it in different isometric views, and I think this is one of them. So let's see if Make 2D even works for this. It might take a while. So yeah, you click select, okay, and then in the bar at the below it says 0%, 1%. So it might take a bit, just because it's very small pieces and there are a lot of them. Hope that helps though.
It does. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Any other questions? Are there maybe any technical issues that you're having within your assignments that you need help with? Like any opinions or any feedback that you want to get? Feel free to do that. Any other questions? No problem. Are you guys mostly working on AutoCAD or Rhino? Okay, yeah, Rhino is a good option. Any specific questions that you may have? Okay, Rhino, yeah. Rhino is a good option. I think for us, they've kind of forced us to use AutoCAD for the most part, but it's good that you guys are already using Rhino.
You can ask us design questions as well.
Yeah, if you need opinions, honestly.
Yeah, guides, your specific design.
Yeah. We can give you permission to share your screen, or you can just put it in the chat and then we can
Do
see.
you have access to breakout room?
Pardon? I think so. Yeah, breakout rooms, but I don't know how to use it.
That's okay. Yeah, if you guys feel shy to show your work to colleagues, she can put me in anyone with breakout room and I can help.
Yeah, I can create 2 breakout rooms, one for me, one for Chris, and then yeah, that's okay.
If there's any.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, just say you have a question, and then we'll have breakout rooms so you can ask your question if you're feeling too shy. So yeah. Chris, should I make a breakout room?
No, I guess.
I'll just okay. I'll make a breakout room. If nobody really went into it or went back, we'll just close it. Nip it. Okay. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Come with me.
Do you want to be with Chris or me? Because I'm right now. I can move it. Or wait. Yeah. Think it worked. If you want, I can move you via mini. If you want. Okay. Okay. 1 second. Okay. You should get the room 1 with Chris. Okay, no problem. Any questions you guys have in the breakout rooms? Naima, Sophia, do you want to be in breakout room 1 or 2? Okay, whichever you want. You can stay here, or honestly, if you have any question, I'll try my best to help. So feel free to ask your questions right now. Do you have any concerns about, are you mostly going to work with Illustrator or Rhino for your final assignment? Okay, so I would say, okay, I'm just trying to download them onto here. Okay, that's fine. We'll just wait for Sophia. And to answer Naima's question, do you think it's better to add shadows hatching on Rhino or Illustrator? I would say for hatching, so let me share my screen again. I have to make sure I do that. I would say for hatching, it's much better to do it on Illustrator just because you have a lot of different varieties. Shadows, if you're talking about shadows in like 3D aspects, I would say Rhino. But personally, whenever I'm doing renders, I don't really work with shadows just because I feel like sometimes it can hide some aspects that I'm trying to show. So I think, yeah, let me just unlock. So you go to your fill layer or fill hatch layer. Yeah, and this is the time where you can really go wild with it. So you can choose any different options. Just make sure you're, again, I made the mistake of doing outline. So make sure the outline is black. And then you go on the fill layer and then you choose it. So let's say this. I would say stick with really, really simple hatches, at least for the first assignment. Obviously, later on, you can, you know, go crazy with it. But for now, just stick with lines, maybe some dark shadows. You can also do grades too. Like a light gray would be nice. I wouldn't recommend doing gradients just because sometimes gradients can look a bit tacky, but that's just my personal opinion. You can, I mean, if you want, you can do gradients. So just trying to download. But yeah, for hatching, I think Illustrator overall is a really easy way of changing your line weights because when we had to do it for AutoCAD, it was really hard to see it in live. And then, okay, perfect. Naima is joining. Okay, 1 second, sorry. Okay, Naima, I'm going to make you come here. Wait, wait, let me try to give you permission. I'll make you co-host and then see if you can share your screen because then you'll get the option to share your screen if that works.
Can you see my screen?
It says Naima has started screen sharing, but I can't really see it yet.